In the dim glow of a single desk lamp, Alexander Thorne sat alone in his cavernous study, the weight of the world pressing down like an invisible anvil. The clock ticked mercilessly toward midnight, each second a dagger twisting in his chest. Outside, rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Manhattan penthouse, mirroring the storm raging inside him. Just 3 months ago, Elena, his vibrant, laughter-filled wife, had been here, her hand warm in his, whispering dreams of their future with the quadruplets. Now, she was gone, stolen by a cruel twist of fate in a car accident that left him shattered, a billionaire king dethroned by grief. The boys, 4-year-old whirlwinds of chaos named Liam, Logan, Lucas, and Landon, were upstairs, their cries echoing faintly through the baby monitor like accusations. "Daddy? Where's Mommy?" they'd wailed earlier that evening, their tiny fists pounding on his locked door until exhaustion claimed them. Alexander buried his face in his hands, sobs racking his broad shoulders. Asterisk, how do I fix this? How do I be enough? Asterisk, the empire he'd built, tech conglomerates worth billions, meant nothing now. He was adrift, a hollow shell, denying the void even as it swallowed him whole. Alexander Thorne had always prided himself on control. From the boardrooms where he'd outmaneuvered rivals to the sterile precision of his daily routines, his life was a fortress of order. But Elena's absence had cracked the foundations, and the quadruplets, wild, inseparable forces of nature, were the relentless siege engines battering it down. In the weeks following her funeral, he'd thrown himself into work, barking orders at assistants via video calls while the nanny agency cycled through a parade of wide-eyed caregivers who lasted no more than a day. Too much, they'd mutter, fleeing the penthouse as if it were haunted. And in a way, it was, haunted by Elena's laughter echoing in the marble halls, her perfume lingering on the boys' rumpled pajamas. This is temporary, Alexander told himself that crisp October morning, staring at the latest resume on his tablet. Asterisk, I don't need help. I can handle them. For Elena, asterisk denial was his armor, forged in the fires of his own unyielding ambition. He'd risen from a modest upbringing in rural Ohio to Forbes lists through sheer will. Surely, fatherhood was just another acquisition to master. But the boys sensed his fracture. Liam, the boldest with his mop of unruly curls like his mother's, had taken to hiding in the coat closet, emerging only to hurl sippy cups at the walls. Logan, the quiet observer, drew endless pictures of a faceless woman in red lipstick, Elena's signature shade, whispering, "She'll come back, right, Daddy?" Lucas and Landon, the twins in spirit if not blood, tag-team tantrums that escalated into full symphonies of screams, their chubby faces streaked with tears and chocolate smears. The pain hid in waves, unbidden and ferocious. One evening, as Alexander attempted a bedtime story, stumbling over the words of "Goodnight, Moon," Landon climbed into his lap, clutching a stuffed elephant Elena had sewn. "Mommy, sing it," the boy whimpered, his voice a knife to Alexander's heart. The room spun, memories flooded in, Elena's voice, soft and melodic, weaving lullabies that turned chaos to calm. Alexander's throat tightened, a sob escaping before he could clamp it down. Asterisk, no, not here, not now. Asterisk, he handed the book to the latest temp, a harried woman named Sarah, and retreated to his study, slamming the door. The bottle of scotch waited, amber liquid promising numbness. One glass became 2, then 3, as he scrolled through old photos on his phone. Elena glowing in a hospital gown, cradling the newborns, the family at Central Park, quadruplets tumbling like puppies in the grass. Asterisk, why her? Why us? Asterisk, the questions clawed at him, raw and unanswered, fueling a rage that simmered just beneath his polished exterior. Desperation forced his hand. The agency insisted on their top candidate, Aisha Washington, a 32-year-old black woman with a decade of experience in early childhood education and a reference list glowing with testimonials from single parents in Harlem. "She's a miracle worker," the coordinator gushed over the phone. Alexander scoffed inwardly. Miracles were for the weak, but agreed to an interview, more out of exhaustion than hope. She arrived precisely at 9 a.m., her locks neatly twisted into a crown, dressed in a simple navy blouse and jeans that spoke of quiet confidence. Her dark eyes held a warmth that unnerved him, as if she could see the cracks he hid so carefully. The boys, sensing fresh prey, unleashed pandemonium. Liam upended a bowl of Cheerios onto the Persian rug. Logan smeared yogurt across the leather sofa. Lucas and Landon chased each other with toy trucks, crashing them into Aisha's legs with gleeful shrieks. Alexander watched from the doorway, arms crossed, his jaw set. "As you can see, it's energetic," he said curtly, waving off her polite smile. Asterisk, she won't last. None of them do. Asterisk, but Aisha didn't flinch. Kneeling amid the debris, she gathered Liam gently, her voice a soothing cadence. "Whoa there, little warrior. Let's turn this mess into a fort, yeah?" The boy paused, intrigued, as she stacked cereal boxes into battlements. Logan toddled over, offering a yogurt-smeared hand. She took it without hesitation, wiping it clean with a napkin from her bag. By noon, the penthouse hummed with an unfamiliar rhythm. Not silence, but harmony. Aisha orchestrated snack time with songs, her rich alto turning the wheels on the bus into a call-and response that had the boys giggling instead of wailing. Alexander observed from his office window, a pang twisting in his chest. Asterisk, it's not real. She's just good at her job. Asterisk, yet, when she caught his eye and nodded, a small, knowing gesture, he felt exposed, as if she'd glimpsed the boy he'd once been, scared and small after his own mother's abandonment. Pain flared anew. Elena had been his anchor, her betrayal not in leaving but in dying, abandoning him to this void. That night, as Aisha bundled the boys into bed, Alexander lingered in the hallway. "There, settled," she said softly, her gaze steady. "Grief looks different on little ones. They need space to feel it, not fix it." He nodded curtly, retreating before her words could pierce deeper. Alone, he poured another drink, the burn a poor substitute for the fire Elena had ignited in him. Asterisk, I don't need her wisdom. I need my wife back. Asterisk, denial wrapped tighter, but cracks formed, tiny fissures where pain seeped in, whispering that perhaps, just perhaps, surrender wasn't defeat. Weeks blurred into a tentative routine, the penthouse transforming from battlefield to sanctuary under Aisha's steady hand. Alexander resisted at first, his reflections jagged mirrors of self-recrimination. Mornings found him in the kitchen, coffee in hand, watching her braid Logan's hair with patient fingers while Lucas recited nonsensical rhymes. She's temporary, he'd remind himself, scrolling emails to drown the internal chorus. What kind of father lets strangers raise his sons? The pain lingered, a dull ache now, punctuated by triggers. A stray lock of Aisha's hair catching the light, like Elena's auburn waves, or the scent of her herbal tea evoking family dinners long past. Betrayal gnawed at him, not from Aisha, but from life itself, for stealing Elena and leaving him to navigate this wreckage alone. Reflection came in stolen moments, unbidden and profound. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rattled the windows, Liam spiked a fever. Alexander, mid-conference call, dropped everything, his heart hammering as he scooped the boy into his arms. The penthouse felt labyrinthine, a maze of echoing cries. Aisha appeared like a beacon, her calm a lifeline. "Breathe, Mr. Thorne," she murmured, pressing a cool cloth to Liam's forehead while guiding Alexander to rock him. "You're doing this. You're here." In that dim nursery, with rain pattering like tears, Alexander's walls trembled. "I've been running," he admitted silently, the boy's fevered whimpers mirroring his own buried sobs. Asterisk, from them. From me. Asterisk, Aisha didn't pry, but her presence invited confession. Later, over lukewarm tea in the sunroom, she shared fragments of her story, not as pity, but solidarity. "Lost my brother young," she said, eyes distant. "Grief's a thief, but it teaches you to hold what's left a little tighter." Her words, simple yet sage, sparked a warmth he'd forgotten, the quiet strength of shared vulnerability. The boys, unwitting mentors, chipped away at his armor with their unfiltered truths. Logan, ever the artist, began drawing Aisha into his pictures, tall and smiling beside the red-lipped mommy. "Two moms?" Alexander asked one evening, kneeling beside the coffee table strewn with crayons. The boy nodded solemnly. "Aisha makes pancakes funny. Mommy makes stars." Laughter bubbled up, surprising them both. a rusty sound from Alexander's throat. Lucas and Landon, the dynamos, pulled him into games Aisha devised, treasure hunts through the penthouse, where clues hid in Elena's old jewelry box. Uncovering a locket with their birthstones, Alexander's fingers trembled. "She knew you'd be wild once," he whispered, voice cracking. The twins hugged his legs, sticky faces pressed close. "We love you, Daddy." And Aisha. In those embraces, reflection deepened. Asterisk love isn't a ledger to balance. It's messy, multiplied. Asterisk small victories accumulated. Nights without scotch, mornings greeting the boys with hugs instead of haste. Aisha became more than caregiver. She was a mirror, reflecting the man he could reclaim. Growth bloomed in the quiet interstices. One crisp November evening, as snow dusted the city skyline, the family gathered for a makeshift Thanksgiving. Aisha's idea, with store-bought turkey and construction paper turkeys from the boys. Alexander carved the bird awkwardly, juice splattering his shirt, while Aisha led grace. "For the hands that hold us, seen and unseen," she intoned, her voice weaving gratitude through the air. The boys echoed her, garbled but earnest. As plates passed, Liam climbed into Alexander's lap, whispering, "Aisha's our mom now, too?" The word hung, fragile as frost. Alexander's breath caught, denial shattered like glass. Pain twisted one final time, Elena's ghost smiling approval in his mind's eye, then ebbed, making way for a profound ache of acceptance. "She's not replacing you," he thought, glancing at Aisha's radiant face amid the chaos. "She's expanding us." That night, as the boys slumbered, Alexander found Aisha in the living room, folding tiny socks with rhythmic precision. "They called you Mom," he said, voice thick. She looked up, eyes shimmering. "Kids know what family feels like, even when we forget." He sank onto the couch, the weight lifting. "I forgot. After Elena, I built walls. Thought control was strength." Her hand brushed his, a mentor's touch, warm and wise. "Strength's in the breaking open. You've got 4 little earthquakes proving that." Tears came then, hot and healing, washing away the last shards of isolation. In her gaze, he saw his reflection, not the broken billionaire, but a father reborn, tender and whole. The journey wasn't linear. Struggles lingered, like the pang when the boys mixed up names in sleepy murmurs, but growth rooted deep. Alexander stepped back from endless meetings, trading boardrooms for playgrounds, where strangers' nods of approval sparked quiet pride. Aisha stayed, not as employee but ally, her laughter filling the spaces Elena left. And in the mirror each morning, Alexander glimpsed a man renewed, scarred, yes, but resilient, his heart a garden coaxed back to bloom. In the end, Alexander Thorne learned that healing isn't a solitary conquest, but a shared unfolding, a tapestry woven from loss and love, where the threads of pain give way to patterns of peace. Embrace the mess of your heart, for in its cracks, renewal takes root, and true strength whispers, "You are enough, just as you are, wild, wounded, and wondrously alive." Moral of the story: true healing blooms not from denying our fractures, but from allowing others to tend them with us. In vulnerability lies our greatest inner strength, turning solitary storms into symphonies of connection and self-forgiveness.